Hey, what's going on guys? John the Video Guy here, and happy Daylight Savings Day. For those that don't know what Daylight Savings is, it's a special day where you go to sleep the night before and you wake up the next day an hour ahead. So if you're anything like me, you woke up at probably around 11 a.m. and you realize it's actually noon. So half the day's over already. But nonetheless, I'm happy I was able to wake up in time to get this one in because I think it's really gonna help, because a lot of people comment me on how quick and organized I am. So I kind of want to go over some best practices on how to set up and organize your files when you're working on Premiere Pro, After Effects, or any type of project really. So I'm going to break down kind of how I store stuff, where to organize and how to label things and put it and import it into Premiere Pro and to work with it in Premiere Pro or After Effects or wherever you might be creating your projects. So let's dive on in here. So I went ahead here and downloaded a bunch of random stuff, like, just things from stock websites. And we're just gonna pretend that all of these assets are for like a business corporate video. So here, what you first wanna do is create a root folder and decide where it's gonna be saved. So this could be on a hard drive. This is probably a separate video on its own where you should be storing your stuff or your root folder. But I recommend like an external hard drive or somewhere on a drive that's quick that Premiere Pro or After Effects can read really quickly. So first you're gonna create a new folder, wherever that is. In this example, I'm just gonna work out of the downloads folder since that's a simple area with a clean slate. So I'm gonna make a new folder. And how I like to organize my projects is usually I put a nomenclature or a date of the project. This could be the due date or the shooting date, whatever date you want to use. So I'll just do today's date, which is 2021-03 for March, and then the day is the 14th because it's Daylight Savings Day. Then I like to add a space, then a dash, space, and then whatever the name of the project is. So this could be, the client's name, if the project has a name, whatever you can name it, just name it here. So project name, client name, whatever you want, I'll just make that. So you'll see there that it's created. And inside this root folder, what I like to do is create two folders. So a drafts folder, and this will be the folder where you export to. So this could be drafts, final renders, or the final deliverable, whatever you're exporting out, that will be in that folder. So drafts. The next folder I call the source files folder. So inside this folder are all the documents you'll need to create the project. Perfect. So next, we're going to create a few subfolders inside the source files folder. So this will include audio for any audio files, video for video files, graphics for any graphic files, and then a projects files folder, as well as a documents folder, just in case you receive scripts, Word documents, or different things, not necessarily that you're going to import in your project, but just as reference files. So I'll go ahead and make those audio, video, project files, graphics, documents with a D. Awesome, and inside the graphics folder, we're gonna create a few more subfolders. So in here, I like to make a few different graphic folders. The first one, and I usually label it with a number at the beginning, that way it falls in order. So the first folder I'm going to create is a client graphics folder. And inside this folder, I'm going to store all logos, anything that the client is provided for me from the customer. So this can be logos, fonts, color swatches, event logos, project logos, brand logos, anything that the client has provided you that is already pre-created or pre-approved that you don't have to really create from scratch. So all those graphics go in there. The next one I'm going to create is a stock animations folder. So this includes anything like overlays, animated backgrounds, anything that's animated that is pre-created that you download from stock websites that you can use in your project. The next one I'm going to create is a graphics elements folder. So this is downloaded almost like clip art, but not. So like PNGs, still images that you'll use in your projects. And lastly, I'm going to create a renders folder. So inside this can be anything you render out in After Effects, or anything that's pre-rendered out that you'll reuse in your project for whatever reason. You can or cannot create this folder. This is really discretional, so it really depends on the projects. You might not even use a lot of these folders. For example, you might not have still images at all. So feel free to take what you want and leave the rest. Nonetheless, I'm going to go through how to utilize all of these folders, whether you choose to use it or not. So next, we're going to go through all the stuff I downloaded and organize and move them into these folders. All right, so first here, let's see what we have. So this is a PSD file, so this will go in the graphic elements folder. We got a few things here. This is another still image, so these can be used accordingly. So graphic elements. Got nice PNGs here, pie charts and lines. It's gonna be a great corporate video. And here we got an animated lower third. So this will go into the stock animations folder. Next we have a template. So this is a After Effects template I downloaded for lower thirds. And what I like to do, I like to put these in the project files folder. Next we have some animated overlays and some animated backgrounds. So we'll just move all of these into the stock animations folder. We got an SVG file, so we'll put that in the graphic elements folder. All right, next we have some B-roll. So I'm gonna create some subfolders for these to be organized. So in the video folder, I'm gonna create a B-roll folder. We're gonna move all these B-roll clips into that folder. Next, we're gonna, these are sound effects. So same thing with audio. I like to separate sound effects, music, and then if there's pre-recorded video or interview, voiceovers, I like to create different subfolders for each category. So in the audio folder, we'll create a music folder, sound effects. There we go. So for sound effects, like the bell ding, put that in there. This is a song. See, that's a song, this is a song, and that's a song. Everything's a song. All right, so sound effects, it's got horns, these two synth files. So those go in there. Then we got the interview. So this is your A-roll. Maybe you went on site, you recorded stuff, and you came back with interview footage. So this is representing that. So in the audio folder, I'll just create an interview folder and put the interview audio in there. Same thing in the video folder, I'll create an interview folder. Move that video in there. And then lastly, we have a logo pack. So this is a provided logo pack from the customer. So this will go into client graphics. We have some lower thirds. So this will go into the documents folder. And lastly, this is just a random thing I created. We'll delete that. All right, great. So we have our subfolders here, and something is in each of these folders other than the drafts folder. So you can see how all of that's organized. So what I like to do when I create my Premiere Pro project or After Effects project is mimic what is in the Finder or File Explorer window inside the project. So I'll show you how to do that. And what I also like to do is name the new Premiere Pro or After Effects file with the same name as the root folder. So for example here, I'm going to copy the folder name, and when I create a new Premiere Pro project file, I'll name it the same. That way everything's named the same. So if you're searching for it later, you can easily identify it via the root folder or the project name of the file. So when you click Browse to save it, the Premiere Pro or the After Effects file will be saved in the Project Files folder. So choose that, click OK. You know, obviously make all your settings that you want, but this is just for reference here. All right, so now once you import everything, import it the same exact way that is in your Finder or project in your File Explorer window. So we'll import stuff. We'll just go from top down. What's nice about Premiere, you can just import the audio folder and it should import all those subfolders as long as there's more than one file in each of those subfolders. For example here, that interview folder only had the interview audio file. So that's why you'll see it not imported like that. So what you can just do is create a sub bin, kind of mimic that, and we'll just reorganize and put that there. That way it matches what's in here. You can click and unclick that to re-alphabetize it. So in this example, interview, music, sound effects, and it matches that. So I think honestly this is the key thing that helps me stay organized. So regardless where it is in the Finder, I know it's identical to the project and the Finder. So that helps me stay organized. So same thing with graphics. The graphics folder is going to be more complicated because some things in here are not importable. So I usually take the time and import things one by one as I need them. So for example, I'll create a graphics folder here in Premiere. And I'll work one by one here. So I'll do a client graphics folder. And before I import stuff, we're just going to take a look here. So in here, we have the logo pack. So we know we'll create a subfolder that's called logo pack. And then as we look at this stuff, we have a SVG file, a PNG file, and two subfolders. So we know the SVG file won't be able to import, but we can import that PNG in here. And then we have a source file and an XML file. The XML we're not going to use in Premiere. You can import XML files, but for this case, we don't need it. But under the source folder here, we have a PSD, we have some text files and font files. We only need the PSD file. So what I'm going to do is copy the source folder, text, make a new bin, and then import the PSD file here. I'll click OK because it's a multi-layered PSD file. So now you got those two files. That's really all you need in that. So basically import what you need in Premiere and leave the rest. If it's like font files, brand standards, swatches, if you don't need it in the project, don't import it. Because the more you import in Premiere Pro, the slower or more bogged down Premiere Pro will get, the more stuff you have in it. So you want to keep your projects as simple as possible. Only import what you plan on using. So next we'll move down to stock animations, and this is pretty self-explanatory, so nothing too crazy here. We'll import everything. So you can see everything got imported. Graphic elements, everything other than that SVG file can be imported. So once again, just import the stuff that you plan on using or that can be imported in Premiere Pro. And we'll click OK a few times for the PSD file. There we go. Now so for example here, the SVG file of the pen, I would open that up in Illustrator and convert it to a PNG or a JPEG, and then import that in Premiere Pro if I plan to use it. So that's how I would do that. I'm not going to show you just to save time here, but that's how I would proceed. All right, the renders folder is interesting. We're not going to create it now, but we'll create it later once we plan on using it, because right now there's nothing in there that we have rendered yet. All right, so next we'll skip project files. We'll come back to that to show you how to use the After Effects template. But under the video folder, we'll just import that, and it should import those two subfolders correctly. So the B-roll did, but that interview, since it's only one clip, just the same as the audio, you'll have to create a subfolder for that. And there we go. And that's how you organize and mimic the same stuff that's in your Finder and your Premiere Pro project. So now we're going to create a new sequence. So in most cases, you'll use your interview footage probably as your sequence settings. So I'm just going to simply drag and drop this out here. And we got our sequence, our interview guy. We'll drag this sequence item outside of that folder. And what I like to do is create a sequences bin and save all of my sequences in that same bin. So for example here, we'll create a new bin, sequences, and we'll move that in here. Basically, we'll name this interview, maybe draft 1 or something like that. And you'll keep duplicating it as you make more drafts, more rough cuts, however you want to do that. For an example here, I'll just create a new sequence using B-roll. I'll add all of these B-roll clips here. That way we have more than one sequence to show you how this works. There we go. So that's pretty much how I organize my Premiere Pro projects. Now let's dive into that After Effects file. I'll show you how that works. All right, so in the projects file here, you can see how it saved the Premiere Pro project, it has the autosave. If we open the After Effects template, before we do that, I'm gonna install these fonts because it'll probably freak out if it doesn't have these fonts ready to go here. All right, so we got those installed. We'll open up this template. You'll say it was created on an old version on a Windows, just click OK. And for some reason, I don't know, it's saying it can't recognize the font even though you just saw me install the font. I don't know, but this is just an example here. So we'll just open this. What I like to do is once you open up a project template like this, I like to save a copy of it. That way you can always go back to the original template that you first downloaded, and I'll show you how to do this here. So once you open this, regardless how it looks, we'll just go to File, Save As, and we'll just, in our project files folder, we'll name it the same thing as our Premiere Profile, and click Save. So now if we go to our Finder, we have our After Effects file, our Premiere Pro project. We still have that template if we need to go back to it with the fonts and everything there, and our autosave folder. So that way that's all organized there, and we can make changes here. We can do whatever we want in this, save it, and then we can always revert back to that template if we need to go back to that, or if we do changes that we can't undo because this is a template and we have no idea how to operate this. I feel like templates can get very confusing, so always saving that original template file is always a good idea. All right, this is driving me crazy, so we will change it from frames to time code. All right, so say I'll just put my name in here, John. There we go. Guy. Gotta make sure that's correct. All right, John the video guy, and then the title. All right, so say if you have this and you need to get it into Premiere Pro. Now, there's two ways you can do this. You can export this straight from After Effects into that renders folder and then import that renders folder into Premiere Pro. That's one way. Or you can add this, just simply drag and drop the composition into your Premiere Pro project panel. Either way, neither is correct or incorrect. Both are ways to do it. And the reason I say that is because there are going to be different situations you want to do it one way or the other. If you're experiencing Premiere Pro being slow, choppy, and unable to read the dynamic link between After Effects and Premiere quickly, you'll want to export it out of After Effects and import it. This is the case a lot of times when you do something more advanced in After Effects, such as rotoscoping and different things where you're keying and you have a lot of effects going on. You'll save a lot of time and headache just exporting it straight out of After Effects and importing it into Premiere Pro. Because a lot of cases, it will slow down Premiere Pro if you import compositions. But as something simple as a lower third, you'll save some time just dragging and dropping the composition into Premiere Pro, and that way you can easily edit it and save time exporting it out and importing it. But nonetheless, I'm going to show you both ways, and you can decide on your own which way you want to use. So in this example, I'm just going to export it. So we'll add it to the render queue. I already have a preset, but basically what I like to do is QuickTime RGB plus alpha. It retains the alpha. Apple ProRes 4444. That is the golden, probably the best codec to export to, by the way. I'll put output 2, and basically where I'm going is into the graphics renders folder. Now you can make subfolders, so for example, you can make a lower third subfolder. Say if you have another thing for like full screen titles, you can make a title graphics folder. Feel free to make as many subfolders as you want to stay organized. In this case, I'm just going to export it straight to the renders folder. Hit save, click render. We'll speed this up. And inside Premiere Pro, we'll go to the graphics folder, click import, graphics renders, and import that folder. And then we have it, and we can add it to our footage, and we're all good to go here. Obviously that's not me, but this is just an example. All right, so the other way to do this is simply drag and drop the composition from After Effects into the projects panel. So what I like to do in Premiere Pro is create like a links comped bin inside the sequences bin, because it just makes sense that the sequences, the timelines, the actual things are in the sequences bin. That makes sense to me. Feel free to do whatever works for you, but that way you know all of your sequences, timelines, whether they're in Premiere Pro, they're nested sequences, they're After Effects compositions, they're pre-comps, or whatever they are, they're in one area. So that's how my mind works. Feel free to take and use whatever works for you. So basically in the sequences bin, I'm going to make another bin that's called linked comps. And basically in After Effects, what we're just simply going to do is make sure both windows are open. You can just click on the composition and drag it into linked comps. And that'll just basically make a linked composition inside your Premiere profile. And then you can just simply drag this out and work on it like that. And what's nice about this is that you can easily edit it and it will update. So if we go back into After Effects here, and we just go here and like do, you know, not John, the video guy, because obviously I'm not that guy that is in the Premiere Pro timeline currently. And you click save, you go back to Premiere, it will update automatically. So I highly recommend doing it this way for lower thirds if it doesn't bog down Premiere Pro. Conversely, like, you know, if you're doing it the other way, you'd have to re-render, re-import, or, you know, do the fancy thing where you can like delete the file in the Finder, export it, render it out from After Effects, and it does actually update in Premiere Pro. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So it's safest probably just to do a linked composition like this. So the same thing goes for Premiere Pro to After Effects. So say if I have this clip of a guy here and you want to replace with the After Effects composition, you can do this, and then you have that linked comp in here. And the same file structure I would do in After Effects. So I would make a comps folder for basically linked compositions and compositions in After Effects, as similar to like sequences in Premiere Pro. And the same structure I would do like for video, interview video, and I would organize all of these items the same way. I'm not going to show that just to save time here, but that's how I would organize it. And then back in Premiere Pro, basically this link comp now would go into the linked comps folder. So there you go. That way all your linked comps are together in their own bin. And the same thing for sequences, or sorry, I should say nested sequences. So say for example here, if you wanted these two, you know, B-roll clips to be their own nested sequence for some reason, you would just click nest, make a nest, and it makes its own sequence. But even in the sequences folder, I would make a nested sequences folder. And then I would just keep all my nested sequences together. It just makes it more organized the more things that are kind of combined together like that. So hopefully this works or helps you. I'll just do another one here. There we go, we got two nested sequences here within our B-roll all clips. You know, got it all going on. All right, well, that is basically the gist of it. You know, feel free to take whatever you think is valuable from this video and use it for your own projects. But I wanted to show you kind of my workflow, because a lot of people say how organized or fast I am to able to locate things and to make changes. And I really believe that the file structure on how you organize your projects from start to finish really works. One last thing I'll show you here just to round it all off. If we export this, you know, we'll just top it off here, go to the downloads folder, and this is where this comes in, interview. You can make subfolders in the drafts folder. You know, for example, you know, you can do mock-ups, rough cuts, you know, whatever you want, or the finals, you know, when it's time to export the final deliverables. You can make as many subfolders in the drafts folder as you want and click export, and that's pretty much it. So feel free to like, comment, and share this video if it has helped you in some way. Subscribe to the channel if you like these video tutorials, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.